And it's never great, but it'll get a little bit of traction. Everything that comes out of Deion Sanders' mouth at a press conference is magnified times 100,000. Not magnified times 10, not magnified times 20 or a 1,000, 100,000 easily. Like his press conferences, they literally post his press conferences on Fox Sports social media, ESPN. They don't do that for Nick Saban. They don't do that for Ryan Day at Ohio State. They don't do that for Jim Harbaugh. They don't do that for nobody else in the country. His full segments, only people that post coaches' full segment press conferences after games are like the local TV stations in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or in Ann Arbor, Michigan, or in Columbus, Ohio. Not Fox Sports, not ESPN. You get what I'm saying? So his stuff is going to be seen and viewed and reach millions and millions more people than the average big time college football coach. And so that's why it matters that much more what you say and what you put out there in the public, especially when in regards to your team, when it's tough criticism, when you wouldn't do the same if it was your quarterback, when you wouldn't do the same if it was Travis Hunter, when you wouldn't do the same if it was certain individuals on the exact same team. So that type of stuff really matters, and these kids understand that.
Man, you made a good point right there. I don't know. I'll be curious to know what everybody else thinks. I mean, do you think that Coach Prime would have been vocal in public with his criticism if it had been Shedeur or if it had been Travis Hunter? The answer is no. I don't think he would have been. And I just think you got to figure out what serves your purpose. It's not to say his criticism was inaccurate. What I have found actually from kind of leading people is that most of the time when somebody tries to do a good job and they suck at it, they already know that they messed up, and you have to kind of understand that sometimes when you come in, you think that as the boss, that the more I yell at you, the better you're going to do. Sometimes you're only making things worse. You're only making them that much more nervous and insecure or whatever. So you got to decide what you're trying to get out of somebody, right? And I'm Coach Prime. I'm talking to a bunch of 20-year-olds, and remember, it's different. It's not like old school college football where you're talking to a bunch of broke 20-year-olds who have no options.
You say those things at Jackson State, there's going to be a sector of people that give you some criticism, and there's going to be a sector. That's not to say you can just skate by free, but there's going to be a sector, but they have a small voice compared to your megaphone, right? But you say that at Colorado, see, now you're not dealing with local reporters and YouTubers and bloggers. Now you're dealing with people with massive platforms, right? Massive platforms that can criticize you in ways that you just simply weren't going to get criticized at Jackson State. Hell, you might have got praised for saying some of that stuff at Jackson State, because black folks, one thing we always appreciate is honesty. In most cases, we're going to appreciate it. We can laugh at it. We can do whatever. But as some of these other people, they're going to be like, hold on now. That's my son out there blocking for your son. That's my people that you talking about now. This ain't a Pleasantville anymore. This is now like you in a different type of space. And when you say that about our folks, we gonna have something to say back. We gonna have like in all of that. While you criticizing us, what about you? Now people gonna shine the mirror on you. What are you doing coaching? Why is your coaching staff lacking? Why are you guys? You keep talking about the O-line, but what about the defense that's giving up a bunch of points?
Sure. But at the same time, it's almost like they're kind of in this state where now that people are seeing that this really isn't a great team, that all this hype was not, really warranted. It almost also changes how people view the behavior. Like you can't speak the same way as the coach when you are the guy that looks like your son's about to win the Heisman, you're about to win the national championship, versus the coach who's 4-4. How do you think that's kind of changed for Coach Prime and the team, and what are you seeing there?
Well, so there's a couple of things there. One, I think Deion and his team, like he's been on very good teams as far as at the professional level. He's watched very good teams at the collegiate level. He covered the NFL for 15 years. So he knows what a good football team looks like. He knows what a special and elite football team looks like, whether it's dependent on the level or whatever. So I think in all reality, he understood, him and his staff understood, we don't have that great of a football team, but that's not the brand that I'm selling. Like, that's not who I am. I can't go out and say that because I'm Deion Sanders. I'm primetime. I ain't never back down from a challenge.
I think in the beginning of the season, the goal was like, okay, they were 1-11 last year. So even 2-10 would be an improvement, right? That even
Yes.
just
Yeah.
winning 2 or 3 or 3-10, 4-10
Yeah.
would be 4-8 or whatever would be a
Yeah.
miracle, right? And then what happened was that they beat TCU. Here's what happened. Here's how I saw it. They beat TCU, who was ranked in the top 20 at the time, and everybody went crazy. Oh my God, he's turning around. He's the miracle man. And all the hype that was already there at Colorado, it just got compounded.
And it was the way they beat TCU too. Like their stars looked like stars. The guys he almost looked like Nostradamus. He kept telling us Travis Hunter is one of the best players in the country. And in that TCU game, he has an interception. He catches a bunch of passes. He keeps telling us my son is one of the best players in the country. In that TCU game, he throws for 500 yards. So it's not just the fact that they won against TCU. It's the way they won and their stars looked like stars against TCU. That set them on a different stratosphere to start the season. And it made people kind of recalibrate, honestly, too much for what this team actually was. I said before the season, if they got to 6-6, it'd be successful. When they beat TCU, people start talking about 9 and 10 wins. Like still to this day, out of the top 10 games played in college football this year, Colorado has 4 of them. Think about that. Colorado has 4 of the top 10 most watched games this entire year. That's more than pretty much anybody else. Like nobody else has more than 2. Colorado has 4. So that includes Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, like these teams with massive alumni bases, with massive football fans, football craze, massive history. Colorado is right up there with more people watching their games. And so you take that, and this is still a flawed product, and you have it in a very, very tough conference. That's the issues that they're running into. Like the Pac-12, although this is like the last year of its existence, it has like really, really good teams. Oregon, Washington are really good. Oregon State's really good. Washington State has had a solid team. UCLA is ranked. USC, albeit they're not the best team, they're still ranked. So there's a lot of really good teams in that conference, and you have Prime's team who just in the trenches aren't there yet.